The topic circular economy is a very, very actual topic, but it's also a very old concept. It's not new in history, it's not new in philosophy. I think it's very important to understand how, what do we mean when we talk about circular economy. I would like to start about that with Pankaj, Professor Pankaj. Thank you.
Okay, so before coming, because this topic is very traditional and very old, so before coming to the topic, what is circular economy, I would like to give you a very exact practical, like what happened in my experience. I am coming from the north part of the India. I'm coming from the village part. And I used to sleep with my grandfather. And he used to have a very small toolbox with himself all the time. And he used to use the products. And he used to repair them. And those products were so made at that point of time that they were built to the last. So even though when my grandfather died, we had this fight that who will be holding this whole what products in the grandchildren's. So the products, how they have been built, how they have been used is very important in the circular economy. And when we're coming back to the circular economy, we have to understand what is happening in the world. The world is not only going to the cultural changes right now. The world is changing, having the technological innovations. And as we are growing up, as my generations, we are growing in the 90s, we have seen, I think, a lot of technological innovations in this world. And coming back to the world and coming back to the human nature, if you see the human nature, there's one professor, Yuval Harari, of Israel, and he always mentioned that what is peculiar about the human nature is adaptability. That we adapt to the certain kinds of technology is coming into this world so fast that we even understand and we do not even understand what's happening to the impact of that technology. Now coming back to the circular economy, that what is the state of economy right now we are going through, this is called the linear economy. As we all know, this is what we take, make and dispose. That's what we are doing in this also sometime, that we are taking the plastic cups, we're drinking the water and then disposing of to the recycling.
Silence, please. Thank you.
So what is happening in the linear economy and what are the needs? Because the topic of our right now, this is needs and opportunities besides going to the circular economy. So what is important that there is a problem in each and every phase. So when we take out, so when we are taking the more resources than actually producing it, there is a problem. When we are making them, there is a problem. How we are making them. And when we are disposing them, that's causing a waste. So there is a problem in each and every phase. So I think the very basic concept of we not just need to circulate that linear line, we have to shorten this also. That we have to take out the less resources and we have to go down on the waste side also. And when we're talking about getting the circular linear economy shorter and then the circulated, that will be, I think, the best idea to go to the circular economy. And apart from this, if you say the topic of ours is needs and opportunities, and the needs, as we know, the circular economy is a means to achieve the sustainable development goals. This is not the end. This is what many people think, that circular economy is it the end. If you behave like this, if you think like this, if you act like this will be the end. No. The circular economy is a means to achieve the sustainable development goals. And coming back to the opportunities, now because we are now in the World Economic Forum. And we have to think something on the economic perspectives also. We just need not to give the abstract idea of what is circular economy and how we are going through this. There is something because people are sitting here because they have made the wealth out of their economic prosperity because of this circular economy. If you look to the opportunities, I think right now the word would be this: the waste is the wealth. And how do I say this? You know, there's one. I want to give you a very good report last year which we got in the European Union, that India is right now making a 5.2 million ton of e-waste. This is what smartphones we have, and many of us may be collecting the smartphones and back home, not giving back to the company. This is also bad, but since we're throwing back our laptops, we are throwing back our smartphones after using, this is also a waste, e-waste. And there is opportunity for the companies to go to the India right now and make a $2.5 billion out of this, because the precious metals are going out from this e-waste. So if there's a company go out and take out the precious metal after this e-waste, they can make the $2.5 billion and 1.4 million jobs So there are opportunities also, and there's a need of that hour also for the circular economy. So I would say that the basic concepts remain always the same, but how do we change it? How do we adapt it to the present scenario? This is very important.
Professor at the University of New Delhi, and now Harald Karch, Managing Partner, International Capital Partner. So, talking about circular economy, are we talking just words, or there is more than words?
No, I think there are a lot of opportunities, and I actually want to say it's exactly the way how Professor Chaudhry mentioned it. We have to look into the opportunities, what we can create out of current product life cycles of products which have increasing product life cycle, and the finishing of these products into waste, and the reusage of products and the waste, so that we can utilize to the maximum our resources on this limited planet. This is in a nutshell the task we have to look into the future, I think. And there is not one way how it should be done. There are so many different ways how it can be done, and it's actually connected to all our parents. Maybe we had even in the childhood where we felt something is going wrong here. If we just think about that we produce refrigerators in a time frame which was before lasting. I'm coming from Germany. We had these famous companies like Bosch and Miele, and we were so proud that we can build a refrigerator which is lasting for 30 years or even for the full lifetime, and then it's going down to a time frame of a product life cycle of only 6 years and then decreasing to 4 years, and that can't be the solution. We have to have a different understanding how we are producing, designing products, and that might have even an impact on our understanding how the future society will be incentivized. Because, of course, that has a financial and that has a social impact on the human beings living in this environment, and everybody is in fear of losing their jobs, and it means a substantial impact in their daily lives. And I think when we talk about the digitization is the challenge of the future, I think it's totally different. I think it's actually to think about the future of circular economy, and as Professor Bangash mentioned, it's not one loop you do. You go in a consistent, steady way forward, looping every circle and trying to strive to get the best out of your natural resources on this planet for the good of the human beings. That's my thoughts to circular economy.
Let's move forward with thank you, Harald. Boris Eykher, CEO of Open Mineral AG, Swiss company. As Homo economicus, I would say, okay, it's just a matter of efficiency, isn't it?
Well, you can actually combine things, right? In order to get the private sector to participate, you have to make it about profitability, right? So in this case, you don't have to rely on the government actions. You don't have to come up with all the big words. You can actually do it tangibly with willing partners. So just to give you the example, because I think that works the best, e-waste that was mentioned here. Multiple smelters around the world recover e-waste. They build up the circuits for that. So, for example, in Europe, Arubis, Umicore are very good at recovering, and I think the numbers are actually above $2.5 billion in the value of the precious metals that they recover from electronic scrap. And so what you need to do is basically combine the opportunities to make it profitable. So it's not only about the efficiency, it's about profitability. And then the private sector finds the ways to make that more efficient. And what we have done in order to help that, we have created an online platform where we digitize the information about all the metallurgical plants around the world, so we understand who is capable of recovering which element. And that allowed us not just to work with the e-scraps, which is obvious, it's a precious metals. That's easy, a lot of people are trying to recover. You can actually go to the more scrap material. You can go to the old tailings, reprocessing the old tailings, right? Helping the environment, and at the same time, making the profit.
I think that we have to remind to all our guests that we are in the Caspian Week pavilion. So it's very important also to give accent, to give a focus on the Caspian region. That's why I think it's important to have the very interesting view of Helen Teplitskaia. She's an advisor to the chairman and CEO of Sberbank. Sberbank knows very well all the Caspian region. I think that your opinion, your perspective is very important about the region. Thank you, Helen.
With this kind of an introduction, it's very easy to dissatisfy the audience, not exceeding the expectations, but I'll try my very best. I think, it's not optional for us to engage in circularity, because this is what de facto circular economy is. We are in the survival mode, and there are no ifs anymore. It's just a matter of recognition and stop being like a straws, like hiding from reality. So we have to adjust to the new rules of the game. And Sberbank, as I mentioned earlier today, we have 300,000 employees and 151 million clients. So when we start from ourselves, and when we use less paper, and we use recycled paper, be it for printing, be it for hygienic needs, we all like quality, but when we start from ourselves and recognize, we decrease consumption of electric power, we try to be much more energy efficient, we think about how we consume water, and I think this is what we can share through education. This is what we have to do to engage what we earlier discussed. I don't like stakeholders as a term. We're people. And I think that if we find the right language in the Caspian region or globally to appeal to people in different languages, in different ways, finding channels of proper communication to instill the desire to participate in circularity, it will happen. So our sustainability, our livelihood depends on this. So my belief is circularity is not a choice. It's a prerequisite for our survival. And Sberbank is ecologically very conscious. We do it ourselves, and we support charities that support ecological development, not just at the level of cleaning, but promoting it. We support hackathons. I don't know if everyone here knows, probably you all know. We work with the school children, we work with college students. This is where it starts. So I'm very grateful for the invitation, and I humbly hope that our gathering today will contribute to circularity.
You said prerequisites for survival, for our survival. So it's interesting to have an example of what's happening also in other countries. Talking about Zambia, we have in Africa, we have Sven Haefner. He's a CEO of Thodi Capital, based in Lusaka, Zambia. Thanks for the silence. Thank you a lot. And Sven, what's happening in Zambia? Is also this concept of circularity, of circular economy, a topic, actual topic?
I think we start at the word survival. A lot of people in Zambia are trying to survive, which is a total different aspect to where we are here today. Meaning fight for food, really basic needs, covering them. Now, if we take it maybe a step forward into the take, make, and dispose aspect, a lot of natural resources are ultimately taken, they're shipped to Europe, to China, US, and then when the products are old, let's say a 20-year-old car, it's going to be disposed in Africa again, which is not necessarily the best way of doing things. It may expand the lifespan of a car or of an asset, but it doesn't really ultimately bring any added value to the circular economy. Now, on the other side, we are in a state where economies are growing. They're growing fast populations are growing, and they're growing from a low level, which means we actually can be much, much more positive in many of the business models we start implementing. And it is a topic, it's a big topic, whether it comes from the agricultural side, whether it goes into various other parts of the economy. The longevity of the product is definitely an advantage. The throwaway economy exists to a certain extent, but to a certain extent, I mean, plastic bottles are thrown away onto the roadside. Plastic bags have been banned. So it starts slowly, but it's probably a process where we can, in a bigger picture, help and work together in that growth phase to really instill the models from an early day rather than trying to be running behind the curve. I think that's how I see it.
I think that it's important now also to introduce a little bit also Christian. Thank you for also your presence. Talking about circular economy, we are also talking about very relevant principles like the idea of the regeneration of natural systems. You are active actually in the soft commodities trading. You developed, your company developed a platform talking about rice. Please tell us also a little bit about how technology, how the most modern technology are somehow considering sustainability, considering also all these very, very actual topics.
Exactly. It's a little bit funny. When you think about circular economy, you think about materials, you think about refrigerators, cars, and electronics. And now I'm going to speak about food, actually. And I'm speaking about the largest food commodity in the world. It's a $450 billion market, actually, rice. So we are the first company which produces a digital marketplace for connecting buyers and sellers for buying and selling rice, exporters and importers all across the world. And over the last 30 years, the international rice trade has increased fivefold. And that has many reasons. One of the reasons is, of course, also climate change, because we have droughts and floods in different areas, and we have whole harvests which are destroyed. And then a country like the Philippines in 2018, they had a loss of 250,000 hectares of rice, so they had to import rice as a kind of an emergency. And how are we doing this? First of all, we are creating a digital platform in a very inefficient market to increase the efficiencies and bring buyers and sellers and also all the service providers like insurance companies, banks, shipping companies, and inspection companies to ensure the quality and the provenance. Also have traceability solutions to trace back the origin of the rice. And we, in terms of sustainability, maybe you know that agriculture is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. Especially rice is under subdued water conditions. So in the water we have a decay of the organic matter, and that produces methane gas. So it's about 10% of the methane gas emissions worldwide, which rice is contributing to. And we are working with the United Nations convened Sustainable Rice Platform. And the Sustainable Rice Platform sets some regulations for sustainability. And it's very important that we have a mechanism, and our platform can provide this mechanism. So we use blockchain, and we can record all the transactions in smart contracts. We use a private permission blockchain, and we work actually with Fujitsu, the Japanese company, with their European blockchain center. And I can maybe later explain a little bit more. In terms of circular economy, there's a lot of food waste and loss, especially in cereals and rice, and some of it is burned, which again contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, and some of this is just given back into the economy. So in some countries there are examples that the rice straw, for example, is used to make beautiful handcrafted products, and that's more in the developing world. So yeah, this is a little bit about our project. And
thank you. Before open to questions, I know that Boris has to leave because we started in delay. You have less than 1 minute to convince me about the fact that also digitalization is somehow considering, is supporting this kind of concept, the circular economy concept. 50.
That's a very tough sell, but I'll try to do that. Again, I'm looking from private perspective, right? So the question is, can you create an additional value with digitizing stuff? So one approach that has been mentioned is you digitize all, for example, all documents, you get the quotes from the logistics, suppliers, surveyors, and that adds the efficiency, reduces the cost. So that's one way. The problem is you need to create the whole ecosystem. Very, very difficult to do in the reality. Opaque industry, no one is interested in changing the ways they're operated, right? They want the consistency, they want the reliability. So what is the other way? One thing that we have done when we digitized every single product raw material, we have discovered that you can actually blend different types of the raw materials of the ores together, where 1 + 1 is equal more than 2. And so you get the benefits of digitizing, creating the algorithms that calculate the value of any type of the random, weird scrap materials, raw materials, and the combination of them adds additional value. So where it helps you, then everybody, of course, is interested in your solution, because that's a real profitability, and the percentage of profitability is very significant.
We don't have much time left, so I open to questions. Please, questions and not statements, please.
I have a question about...
Wait.
Sorry. Yes. Mircea Davidescu, Fair Square Financial from the United States. I have a question regarding sustainability in the circular economy. We're talking a lot about reuse, but a topic that also comes up a fair bit is reduction in consumption, which I think is a lot harder to, let's say, market to the general populace. Yeah, and especially actually to countries that are just now trying to achieve the levels that we are here. Yes. What do you think about that, the role of that in developing sustainability?
Thanks. That's clear. And who? Helen, please.
Well, I can. One of the trends that are emerging is actually artificial food. When less meat, for example, natural meat is consumed, we're talking less waste, less energy, and so on. But there is this prejudice, which is natural. I recently was in the Silicon Valley, and I was forced to try artificial meat. And I can tell you that maybe I'm not a big meat eater per se, but it took a significant effort for me to try this meat. But I think this is a trend, and a decrease of consumption is one direction, and substitution with artificial products that have the same kind of nutritional value and taste the same, but they are artificial, which of course is impossible to achieve without digitalization, is one of the trends. Of course, there could be lighter cars, there could be less resources consumed, but artificial food is the new trend that I would like to bring to your attention and collectively discuss if this is the way to go.
Harald and Sven.
Yes. Maybe I add just a little bit also, because we have to change the love to certain things, like the love to our meat, to our beef, and maybe also, because I'm coming from Germany, the love to our cars. So when we talk about usability patterns of how to use individual cars, maybe we should think about in the near future that we just create car pools, which we are sharing in between each other, no matter what kind of brand we are using, if it's an Audi or Mercedes or Volkswagen, as long as it's a German car, it's fine. No, of course, I mean, of course we have Toyotas, etc. But anyhow, I think that goes down really into our heart and our relationship with certain things, products, like beef, meat, cars, and other products.
Sven?
That's what I want to contribute.
Thank you, Sven.
Very similar. Coming from Zambia, and spending a bit of time in Europe. In Berlin, many people don't own things anymore. They step out of the house, they have their app, they see where is the next car parked, they jump in the car, park it again, and off they go. And that's obviously the sharing economy and technology enabled, I think, is a massive shift which is just started. In some places probably less than in others. I don't think it will work everywhere, but in bigger metropolitan areas, etc., I think the ownership of assets will decrease definitely over time.
Christian, and then please, Christian.
It's a very good point, actually, degrowth and consuming less. And in order to consume less, we have to produce products which have more endurance and longevity and higher quality. So you have an iPhone or something like this, so every 2 years or every year there's a new iPhone coming, and when the new iPhone comes, your old iPhone drains out of battery very quickly, so you are actually urged to buy a new one. So if we can somehow create products, and not only the products but also the service and the software for the products, which comes with updates regularly, and not only for these kind of products, but also for fashion, for example, that we can wear clothes longer, we can drive cars longer, we can share cars, then we create automatically less consumption.
Pankaj?
I think because we are young, because when the iPhone 12 will come, we definitely will change that iPhone 12 and we will definitely change for iPhone 11. My point is that rather than making the battery long live, why don't we change because I am teaching law, so why don't we change the ownership laws? Why don't we just give the iPhone to you and just say you are a user, you are not the owner of that iPhone. So if I give you as a user of the iPhone, you will go back and you will get some money of your old iPhone and giving back the new iPhone. That's a better view. And coming back to the clothes also, because there's a tradition coming in the eastern part of Europe, which I was visiting the Finland and the Sweden, which I also think the most of the countries should also adopt, because the fashion is something which is coming around and around. So there's nowadays a second-hand clothing apparels, clothing the stores are coming up. So even though and this is also like a vintage. This is also like opportunity coming on the circular economy. Now I'm having a coat which may be 45 years old. That's maybe having a value which cannot be expressed in the money. So this is something which opportunity coming up with the circular economy. And coming with this, so I would say that do not say no to the new technologies. Do not say no to there was something new coming up, the technical innovations coming up. We just had to see that what are the ways to get disposed into the very renewable source of type of clean energy. That when we are disposing the old iPhone, because that's what I've said. Our goal is not to make a linear kind of economy to the circular. The main first aim should be shorter than the linear economy. Produce less and produce less waste. And that's how we're going to do. If we have the less cobalt, suppose that we have the smartphones. I give you another example of, suppose we have a lighting within our room, might be coming from some other company. But when we go and purchase a bulb, it will be like what the legal status of that? You're an owner, we are giving you a bulb. Rather than, if I give you, okay, I'm giving you a service of lighting. How about that? When you end that bulb, you go back and give back that bulb, and this is only a service of lighting you're paying, not for the bulb. So if you new technology of the new LED light, something coming up, so you go back and you give back that particular product and get back the new. So I think because we are coming as a new, so I think that we should not say no to the technology.
Any other questions? Otherwise, a very quick final statement to all of our speakers. Starting from Boris, then I know you have to leave.
The world is changing. We are all embracing that, right? And I think we actually need to make sure that we are focusing not only on impact, but making sure that there are tangible benefits that come out of that. And then the pace of the embracing the change will be much faster.
Helen, please.
I believe in a butterfly effect. And if each of us starts beginning today being more thoughtful about circularity, we already will contribute to the environment and to achievement of SDG goals. But let's be less formal. Let's start from ourselves. Let's spread this and turn this into a new faith. Because without faith, without feelings and dedication, we will not achieve there, and our survivability will not be as probable anymore.
Yeah, I can only follow this statement. And we really need a cross-cultural, cross-country collaboration. And we need to do anything we can to bridge cultural differences and to see any kind of opportunity where we can see some similarities and some approaches where we can work together on things. And if we are sitting on such kind of panel, for example, we are exchanging ideas. We're exchanging ideas with the audience, and hopefully it reaches to some inspiration, and the inspiration translates into action. That's what is also the topic here of the World Economic Forum, that we need to go to action from 2020, because now it's not very much time left. So we need to act.
Sven?
I think we shouldn't be afraid of stigmatization. It sounds like really hand-knitted if we talk about the circular economy, but it has an economical aspect to it as well. If we look at it from the economical side and then embrace the rest with it, I think there's many opportunities. So there's not only negatives about it. It takes work, it takes effort, but there can be also a lot of positives that come from it, and I think that's what we should focus on.
Yes. I think I can't contribute very much to this brilliant statement which we already heard, but I just want to give that advice. Just look positively into the future and enjoy the potential which is created out of this massive change process. Take it as a change and try to get the best out of it.
We started with Professor Pangaj and we finish with you, with your last statement. Thanks.
So I think the very basic thing that human has survived over the centuries in this civilization, and we will, I think for us as a young, I think we will survive. The very thing which we have to recognize again is the concept of adaptability. It's just that we have to adapt to something new which is coming up, and we have to recognize that. This is what I have to say in that. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention. I wish you a very nice evening. Thank to all our speakers.